The single most important thing about getting better gains from analytics and AI with your product is to think about your user behaviors and your product proposition scientifically in a way that both pairs intuition and qualitative observations with a structured, testable view of what you want to have happen using hypotheses and hypothesis-driven development. Now, how do companies get really good at this over time? There's some really nice work on a way to think about this, and it's this idea of going from descriptive to diagnostic to predictive to prescriptive analytics. And this I don't think this really happens company-wide. I think it generally more so happens in a given area. The basic idea is this. We start off with simple descriptive analytics. What happened? If we ran an experiment, do we know what observations, what metrics we're looking for? Do we have lines in the sand where we can say that, okay, above this was a success, below that was a failure? Are we starting with analytics in mind rather than puzzling over them after the fact? Diagnostic means that we're getting better at looking at causal or at least associative relationships, meaning that we're able to start making general purpose observations that these types of customers or people in this type of situation tend to do this thing, and that we can sort of more regularly, more naturally understand and diagnose those associations. Predictive means that we're getting pretty good at figuring out, okay, if a user comes in here, we can predict that the best product or the best message to show them is X. And we can use that to make better decisions. And then from there, prescriptive just means that we automate that essentially. So rather than saying, ooh, we think we can predict that this is the right thing to do, we're confident enough in our analytics, our AI, that we're just automating that process and keeping an eye on it, but sort of putting it on autopilot. And then you might ask, well, I just want to be here. I want to get to prescriptive. And that's natural to want to do that. In practice, it's generally necessary for a team to kind of build up their capability in a given area from descriptive to diagnostic to predictive to prescriptive. And the reason is that you really have to have a nice, strong understanding of what's going on, what data is helping you, not helping you, and what things to keep an eye on before you can go and automate them. Kind of just like if you don't understand a business process, it's hard to go write even non-AI type of software for it because you don't really understand how the process works right now and what things tend to happen together. The actual reality of all this is, I find anyway, when I work with teams, is that the hardest part is kind of going from 0 to 1 here. And 0 means that you are not thinking in terms of hypotheses and experiments. You go do stuff and then you puzzle over the analytics after the fact to try and figure out what you should do next. And that's, lots of people do that. There's nothing terrible about that. But moving towards a mindset where your ideas are rendered into hypotheses, you're ready to make crisp decisions, you're ready to be wrong and kill the ideas that aren't working, that's probably the hardest part in practice. So instead of rushing through these things, my advice is make sure you have a nice strong basis of just using descriptive analytics to run experiments, make specific decisions on the basis of what you observe, and that'll kind of pave the way for you to progress along these capabilities in a given product or a given product area.